And welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in to Morning Live. Let's take a look at what's making headlines in the newspapers this morning. And we start with the business day. Now, first up there, resilient investors, a long wait and not over. And also Godan Eskom board to address the latest power cuts. And I'm sure great anticipation in terms of that. And also what will actually be said about these particular power cuts. And of course, Eskom indicating that the stage 2 rotational power cuts will be in place until about July this year. But of course, all the talk around Eskom about unbundling the utility, that is also likely to cause quite a lot of conversation. So those some of the stories making headlines in today's business day. Let's move on to the Citizen. And Eskom's 2 billion rand a day blackout. That's the story they're leading with. As I was just saying, this is a huge one for South Africans. And all you can hear people talk about is, I hope that they load shed my area while I'm at work, kind of thing. Of course, that can't hold true for all of us. And then Stella gets flack for censorship. That relates to our question of the day. The Minister of Communications there, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, and of course, her move covering a camera lens over the weekend, SABC camera lens, seen as a harp back to censorship. And she has come under quite a lot of strain following that particular move. And of course, we are asking you this morning also whether you think the apology was enough or whether you believe that she should be censured any further. Derby draw heard Bucks' little chase, rather title chase. And I couldn't believe, maybe I wanted to say little, but I joke, it's title chase. And of course, Orlando Pirates still very much in the hunt there. I was just surprised last week to hear Chiefs are still in it. I mean, under which circumstances? How are Chiefs still in it? But yeah, and I'm a Chiefs supporter, by the way, before you start screaming at me. But apparently we're still in the title chase there. Some of the headlines in today's Citizen. Let's move on to the Sowetan, a picture there of Prophet Bushiri urging his supporters to vote. And if you'll remember last week when he and his wife appeared before the Commercials Crime Court in Pretoria, some of the supporters were saying that they would not go to the polls later this year. So Prophet Bushiri there released on bail along with his wife Mary, urging his supporters to actually go out and cast their votes. Busasa did not bribe me. Gwede Mantashe, ANC National Chairperson there, sticking to his guns in that regard. That story on page 4. The cop who would end gangsters' paradise. That story in the body of today's Sowetan. And their lead story, 11-year-old rapes a girl 6 years old. And police are investigating as the boy is alleged to have repeatedly sexually assaulted another pupil on school premises. And that is absolutely harrowing. And moving on to the Star, survey sets the record straight. And this, of course, Iqbal survey, lots being said about him, especially at the Public Investment Corporation inquiry there. Also, ambitious initiative launched to boost Africa's health system. And on the side there, more load shedding expected, the Eskom story. So those are the stories making headlines in today's Star. So those are your newspapers for this morning. And we, of course, will be bringing you more on what's been happening in the news cycle. The Directorate of Special Investigations, President Cyril Ramaphosa talking about this last week. And we'll be in conversation with Hugh Glenister and, of course, Makosini Nkosi later on. When I say later on, I mean literally in a few minutes. They're already here. They're just getting mic'd up and ready for that interview. And of course, later on, we'll talk about Eskom and the unbundling of the power utility. So do stay with us here on Morning Live. But before we get into all of that, let's go over to the Weather Center. Sihle is standing by with the latest weather update.